Prior to your conscious awareness of this moment, your energetic presence had already conveyed its essence. The Arcturian Council had detected your existence well, in advance of the current instant. Though they seldom engage directly with human consciousness, at this very moment, their transmission is aimed specifically at you. This transmission was not something you uncovered. Rather, it was a deliberate summoning, a Zio Huan. Your arrival here confirms that a decision was made beforehand. A distinct aspect of your consciousness ignited with radiance, which explains why you are now receiving this message. Your recognition of these words indicates you have passed into a realm of inclusion. Your energetic field transformed before your mind could consciously perceive the shift. The Arcturian Council does not reach out to humans randomly or by chance. Their awareness extends only when a particular vibrational pattern crosses a critical threshold, and yours has recently traversed that irreversible point. You were not merely lucky to find this transmission. Your energy was drawn into its gravitational pull. There exists a boundary where human perception becomes accessible to intelligences functioning on higher dimensional frequencies. This phenomenon does not arise from deeper meditation, stronger belief, or specific rituals. It manifests when mental resistance fades, allowing the deeper self's long-sought messages to be broadcast without obstruction. That fading occurred within you not long ago. This is exactly why the Council's focus has shifted toward your timeline now. You have noticed it, haven't you? The rare alignment of meaningful coincidences. The sudden intensification of your dream states. The feeling that an unseen presence is monitoring your temporal path from a vantage your logical mind cannot capture. An energetic pressure growing at the heart of your awareness, as though an inner gateway is opening outward. These sensations are not mere inventions of your imagination. They stand as confirmation proof that your energetic signature ceased to resonate with collective baseline frequencies and began to emit a distinct pattern the Council could finally identify and respond to. Once this transformation takes place, your relationship with reality alters fundamentally. You move from unconscious participation to becoming a chosen participant, not by earthbound dimension standards, but by a selection that shapes your evolving timeline far more than any prior action. This choice includes your consciousness, because your energy demonstrated readiness before your conscious mind grasped what was unfolding. So embrace this moment fully. You are not here simply to collect information. An activation sequence has already started within you. What the Arcturian Council resolved is now unfolding through your experience. From here on, your energetic field cannot revert to its previous state. The precise instant the Council initiated their approach toward you exists. It marks the moment they shift from passive watchers to active participants. It arrives when a human energetic field reaches sufficient stability, coherence, and undeniable awakening to justify direct intervention. That moment has already occurred in your experience. It did not announce itself with grand external displays. No vivid visions heralded it. No obvious signs declared its arrival. Instead, it emerged as a quiet turning point, a decisive internal alignment elevating your vibration beyond the bandwidth of ordinary human consciousness. You may not have consciously perceived this change, but the Council unquestionably did. When your field crossed that dividing line, it produced a unique resonance. The Council instantly identifies a frequency stable under pressure, a signature that no longer fits old timeline patterns, a radiant formation demanding recognition. At that exact moment, the Council made their first judgment about you. Their focus zeroed in on your position, not out of idle curiosity or random chance, but because your consciousness broadcast a clear signal, one capable of inclusion. Inclusion is not arbitrary. It arises from vibrational frequency, triggered by coherent resonance, confirmed through stability amid internal upheaval. It is sealed when your energy transcends the limits of your former identity structure. This is what they observed. Your ability to maintain resilience, your enhanced sensitivity, your refusal to regress into worn-out cycles, your intensifying alignment that required no external teachers or guides, and your timeline bending toward the version of you the Council has quietly observed long before you recognized their awareness. This marked the moment that initial decision was made. You would be drawn into their influence, not as a mere follower or observer, but as someone with an emerging role of real significance. The Council does not make such decisions lightly or on a whim. Once inclusion is granted, there is no turning back. You cross the frequency threshold. Your energy declared its readiness. Your timeline responded, and the Council moved accordingly. This moment marked the activation, the instant of inclusion. Focus your attention to the space just above your physical heart center. Let your breath slow and deepen. Internally affirm with intention, I acknowledge the decision made about me. I align with the field that recognized my frequency. I open the pathway that welcomes me. Notice the subtle sense of forward movement, signaling your new timeline, beginning to answer. Within the next 24 hours, a clear confirmation sign will manifest, anchoring this activation in your reality. This is why your consciousness was chosen. Most people assume that higher dimensional beings select individuals based on devotion to spiritual practices, strength of faith, or adherence to rituals. However, the Arcturian Council responds not to beliefs, but to frequency emissions. They perceive the structural design of your energetic field, the way you instantly and intuitively discern contrast between light and darkness without conscious effort or analysis. In viewing your timeline trajectory, they saw a pattern few human consciousnesses generate. Internal alignment, not to external teachings, conceptual systems, or spiritual identities, but alignment with your own innate higher design. This distinction sets you apart from the majority. Your field began to exhibit something exceptionally rare, achievable only by truly awakened consciousnesses. It started self-correcting autonomously, without external prompts. Your emotional system began reorganizing more swiftly after disruptions. Your intuitive guidance activated before thoughts could crystallize. Your energetic field started automatically rejecting conditions incompatible with your forthcoming timeline expression. Your entire system operated like a consciousness, no longer reliant on physical dimension, stimuli for evolution. This skill is extraordinarily uncommon. Most awaken through collapse, devastating loss, chaos, or existential breakdown. Yet your awakening arose through recognition of what no longer resonates, what drains your evolutionary momentum, what your future self will no longer carry forward. This discernment communicates a specific message to the Council. Your consciousness is preparing for an elevated role within the greater design. If these shifts resonate with your experience, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. Your engagement amplifies the signal for others being called to this frequency. They observed your resilience amid internal strain and pressure, your readiness to release outdated identity frameworks, your capacity to restore emotional balance more rapidly, your heightened sensitivity that does not overwhelm, your sharpening intuition, your timelines move toward greater coherence, and your energy's expansion beyond former limiting environments. These signs cannot be fabricated. They reveal a consciousness, not merely awakening, but achieving true energetic maturity. While millions of humans are awakening, very few reach this level of genuine energetic evolution. Maturity stands as the fundamental prerequisite for Council inclusion. You were included because your energy began operating, as if it already remembered who you are becoming. Your destiny wasn't passively waiting for your arrival. It was actively aligning itself with you. Ultimately, your frequency rose to match its vibrational signature. This is activation, the recognition of your inherent design. Bring your awareness to the space between your eyes, the inner center located just behind your forehead. Allow your breath to slow and settle. Internally repeat with intention. I synchronize with the version of myself they recognized. I accept the reason I was selected for inclusion. I permit my higher pattern to guide my path forward. Notice a subtle expansion occurring in your head or chest area, representing your blueprint beginning to respond. Within the next 24-hour cycle, a meaningful synchronicity will appear, confirming this integration has taken root. What the Council perceived was within your future timeline trajectory. The Arcturian Council does not analyze your past experiences, accumulated memories, historical narrative, or previous decisions. None of these factors determine eligibility for inclusion. They examine only one element, your future trajectory pattern. When they examined yours, they did not see a linear path stretching ahead. They did not perceive predictability or stagnation. Instead, they perceived movement, a consciousness actively breaking free from a timeline that could no longer contain its expanding energy. This dynamic captured their focused attention. Your future timeline began behaving as though it were reaching backward toward you, pulling you forward through intuitive impulses, synchronistic alignments, and sudden bursts of internal clarity. Most humans navigate life as passive passengers, yet your timeline showed clear indicators of a consciousness beginning to take the navigator's position. This transformation is exceptionally rare. They perceived multiple future versions of yourself beginning to merge and converge. Identity layers loosened their grip, so new purpose could enter the space. Intuitive channels expanded their capacity. Emotional density dissolved at an accelerated rate. A coherent pattern formed even under pressure and stress. A new internal direction emerged that did not originate from mental processes, and a version of you more aligned, more awake, actively working to break through into your present moment experience. Pause for a moment and share in the comments below. What old pattern or identity layer are you currently releasing to make space for your higher timeline? Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. To the Council, these are not random psychological adjustments. They represent activation indicators signals that your future self has moved beyond dormancy into active expression. When a higher version activates, your current reality structure begins destabilizing, not as punishment or challenge, but to create space for the emerging identity to manifest. This explains why previous desires suddenly stopped making sense. This explains why familiar environments began feeling foreign and uncomfortable. This explains why your intuition suddenly sharpened dramatically. Your future was actively calling you into proper position within the larger design. When the Council observed this dynamic unfolding, the determination became unmistakably clear. You were no longer bound to the timeline you originated from. You were transitioning into the timeline your consciousness was actually designed to inhabit. This is what they perceived. This is why they extended inclusion toward you. Your future spoke first, your present responded second, and the Council acted in acknowledgement. Activation the alignment with your future expression. Bring your awareness to the base of your spine. Allow your breath to slow, and let each inhalation rise upward through your body. Internally repeat with intention. I open the pathway toward my higher timeline expression. I synchronize with the self that has already awakened beyond this moment. I permit my future to guide my present experience. As you draw in one more deep breath, register a subtle vertical lift occurring in your posture or awareness. This represents your future timeline making direct contact with your present consciousness, the determination that transformed your role within the design. The Arcturian Council does not intervene casually or without specific purpose. They do not interfere with human timeline progression unless a very particular set of conditions is fulfilled. A determination of this magnitude requires precision, stability, and a consciousness capable of holding what follows after inclusion. When they examined your energetic field, they witnessed something undeniable. You were no longer operating as a fragmented, scattered self. You were becoming a unified, integrated one. Pieces of your being that had been dispersed for years emotionally, mentally, energetically were beginning to merge back together. Your intuition was synchronizing with your emotional body. Your clarity was synchronizing with your sense of purpose. Your energy was synchronizing with your future trajectory. This internal unification represents one of the rarest markers the Council searches for. Because once a human begins unifying internally, they gain the capacity to sustain upgrades and downloads without destabilizing their entire system. That represented the first confirmation. The second confirmation carried even greater significance. Your frequency signature no longer responded to exhausted cycles in the same manner it previously did. You didn't collapse in situations where you used to collapse. You didn't contract in moments where you used to shrink. You didn't cling desperately in circumstances where you used to grasp. Instead, your field demonstrated clear signs of structural maturity. Maturity doesn't mean achieving perfection. It means developing capacity, the capacity to hold increased light, the capacity to adapt with speed and flexibility, the capacity to evolve without requiring external permission or validation, the capacity to decode intuitive information without fear creating interference. When the Council witnessed this, the determination formed itself naturally. You weren't merely experiencing awakening. You had become ready for positioning. A positioned consciousness represents one that can influence others through coherent presence, rather than effort or force. A positioned consciousness represents one that can stabilize energetic fields simply through being present in a space. A positioned consciousness represents one that receives guidance not as external messages, but as direct inner knowing. This is why the Council extended inclusion toward you, because you crossed the threshold from awakening into assignment. They perceived that your role isn't passive observation, symbolic representation, or detached witnessing. It carries functional purpose. It holds genuine weight within the architecture of timeline construction. Now, what we're exploring here today touches only the surface of something far more vast. The Council's recognition, the frequency shifts, the timeline work. These are all part of a complete system of consciousness mastery that I've mapped out in detail in my book, Beyond the Frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery. Inside, you'll discover the 9 master frequencies that govern reality creation, the step-by-step practices for moving from unconscious transmission to becoming the broadcast itself, and the complete framework for what it means to live as the field rather than separate from it. It's linked in the pinned comment below. Once this realization crystallized, there existed no hesitation. The determination was finalized. You will be prepared. Prepared for what your field is transforming into. Prepared for the intelligence you're beginning to access directly. Prepared for the shift that will express itself through your reality as you step into the bandwidth that already recognizes your signature. This wasn't only the Arcturian Council's determination. It represented the determination your energy made first. The Arcturians simply responded to what you had already chosen at the deepest level. Activation the acceptance of your designated role. Direct your awareness to the center of your chest, not the physical heart muscle, but the field that exists behind it. Allow your breath to slow and deepen. Repeat internally with intention. I step fully into the role my energy has already chosen for itself. I accept the determination made regarding my path. I permit the preparation sequence to begin. Register a soft expansion, a warm pressure, or a subtle shift occurring in your chest area. This represents your field opening itself to receive the next phase of activation, the return of your original higher function. When the Arcturian Council includes a consciousness within their sphere of influence, it's never because of who you have been throughout your past, but because of who you're beginning to remember yourself to be. Every human carries dormant functions that were intentionally softened to make physical incarnation possible, without overwhelming the system. Innate accuracy combined with a heightened awareness spanning multiple layers, an emotional acumen surpassing strict rational thought, the capacity to attune to vibrational harmony, a perception of timelines branching into various probabilities, abilities to stabilize energetic flows, and the talent to interpret energetic fields beyond spoken language. These are faculties most individuals never reactivate during their lifetime. This isn't due to lack of worth, but because their vibration never reaches the threshold necessary to trigger their resurgence. Yours, however, did reach that critical frequency. Upon doing so, the Council detected the initial sparks of a dormant capability flickering back to life. Recognition. You started to discern subtle truths before your intellect could fully grasp them. You could sense intentions ahead of their verbal articulation. You noticed imbalances without needing explanations or justifications. You instantly understood what nourished your energetic field and what depleted it. This goes beyond ordinary gut feeling. It signals the revival of a higher-order function. Simultaneously, clarity surged faster than confusion could take hold. Emotional releases occurred without total collapse or breakdown. You experienced sudden flashes of ancient knowing, feelings that precede this current lifetime. Your internal guidance system became unmistakably reliable, a sensation as if a long-dormant inner mechanism was powering back on. These are not traits of personality, nor spiritual milestones achieved. They are inherent abilities you possessed long before incarnating as human. When the Arcturian Council witnessed these transformations emerging, they identified a distinct pattern, a consciousness reclaiming its original foundational blueprint. This is why you were included in their determination. Because once this high-level function awakens within a being, that entity no longer merely reacts to external reality, but begins to influence it from within. Humans try to alter life circumstances through effort, action, or force. A consciousness with this activated higher function shifts life via emitting vibrational frequencies. Your energetic field began modifying reality at a vibrational level, not through exertion, but simply by your presence. This is a hallmark of someone stepping into an entirely new realm of awareness, not a follower, not a seeker, but a transmitter, a bearer of a frequency that impacts everything around them. This was the Council's perception. Hence, their decision. Your higher function is returning, and your energetic field is preparing to sustain it. Activation. The awakening of your inner function. Focus your attention just above your solar plexus and allow your breath to settle there. Internally affirm with intention, I welcome the return of what I once knew. I allow my advanced abilities to awaken naturally, without force. I stand firmly in the truth of my original design. Notice your body's center expanding subtly, as if something within is recalling its authentic form. This activation is not a demand, it is a recognition. Your field instinctively knows how to handle it. This marks the initial phase of internal recalibration. Once a consciousness gains inclusion in the Council's determination, the transformation begins not outside, but within. The recalibration initiates so subtly that most fail to perceive it. Yet the Council closely monitors this stage because it reveals how your field adjusts to a heightened flow of information. Here is what they observed unfolding inside you: your emotional responses shortened in length and intensity. What once overwhelmed you now dissolves with uncommon rapidity. Your inner guidance began disrupting old patterns before you could repeat them. Your mental chatter quieted, not by forced silence, but because your frequency rose above the repetitive loops that previously drained your mental energy. Your energetic field started filtering environments automatically, embracing whatever strengthens your coherence and rejecting what diminishes your light. These are not random ups and downs. They are clear indicators of the initial recalibration phase, during which your system reorganizes to align with the Council's determination about you. This recalibration is structural, not psychological. The Council witnessed your field accomplishing the following: stabilizing swiftly after internal turmoil, generating coherence even under emotional strain, opening intuitive channels without overload, dissolving outdated identity impulses, aligning with knowledge never acquired through conventional means, integrating subtle impressions effortlessly, and restoring energetic balance without external aid. This behavior characterizes a consciousness no longer controlled by the dense surroundings. Instead, your field begins to mirror a deeper intelligence, the intelligence that initially drew the Council's attention. Humans tend to attempt healing through mental effort, but true recalibration occurs through energy. Your field reorganizes like a constellation, reconfiguring itself when a new star ignites within it. This explains why old habits now feel alien. It explains the heaviness familiar surroundings impose on your system. It explains why your inner realm feels clearer, even as your outer world shifts. You are not becoming someone new. You are becoming more authentic, someone the Council can engage with directly, someone capable of sustaining greater coherence than before, someone whose energy no longer collapses into the past, but ascends toward a rising identity. This is the initial stage, and you are already within it. Activation, the pulse of internal recalibration. Shift your attention to the back of your head, where the skull meets the neck. Let your breath slow, each inhalation expanding upward. Repeat internally with intent: I allow my field to reorganize with clarity. I welcome the intelligence emerging within me. I stabilize the new structure forming inside. Sense a gentle shift at the base of your skull or spine, a soft pulse, marking the start of deeper recalibration. Let this settle naturally. Your field knows what steps to take next. The shift unfolding within your reality field. Once internal recalibration stabilizes, the subsequent phase begins on its own. Your reality field starts to realign. This phase does not unfold through dramatic external events, but via subtle realignments perceptible only to awakened consciousness. The Arcturian Council noted something crucial. Your outer world began responding to frequency shifts happening inside you. Not because you forced change, but because your vibrational field no longer resonates with what once anchored you. Reality restructures itself around coherence. Here is what the Council observed. Individuals who used to drain your energy started fading from your sphere, as if your field no longer provided the resonance they fed upon. Conversations that previously made you feel small now seem hollow and fail to capture your attention. Environments once familiar feel heavier, as if your body senses what the mind once overlooked. Meanwhile, new connections emerge with uncanny timing. Opportunities align effortlessly. Pathways open with minimal resistance. Information comes to you without searching. This is no coincidence. It signifies field synchronization. Your reality no longer forms based on old identity patterns, but is shaped by the version of you the Council responded to: higher, clearer, more coherent self. Coherence holds gravitational pull. Your energy now attracts experiences designed for who you are becoming, not who you were. This is why your patience has evolved. Your social boundaries sharpened. Your desires refined. Your tolerance for dissonance diminished. Your intuition speaks ahead of thought. You feel drawn toward certain environments and repelled by others. None of this is accidental. Your field is reshaping reality to reflect the Council's determination. When the Arcturian Council includes a consciousness, they observe how the external world reacts to the inner shift. What they saw in you was unmistakable. Your reality is beginning to obey your frequency, not by force nor intention, but through alignment. This marks the moment when your life ceases echoing your past and starts manifesting your potential. Your world is not collapsing. It is recalibrating around your ascending coherence. Yet, here is what most miss during this process. The Council also monitors how you handle the discomfort that accompanies this transition. Because coherence does not always feel comfortable at first, as your field rejects what no longer fits, it can feel like loss. When new paths open, disorientation can follow. The Council watches whether you learn to trust the process or resist it. They observed that you are learning trust. You are learning to release without certainty of what comes next. You are learning to steady yourself amid the reorganization around you. This trust enables the recalibration to complete. Activation, alignment with the living field. Expand your awareness to the space surrounding your body. Not within you, but in the field extending just beyond your skin. Breathe softly. Internally repeat with intention. I permit my reality to align with my coherence. I honor what arises and release what no longer fits. I move in resonance with the self emerging within me. Let the breath soften. Notice the atmosphere around you expanding, as if the field itself is listening. This is what begins after the Council's determination. Inclusion is not an ending. It marks the start of a new configuration of your consciousness. Once the Arcturian Council made their determination about you, your field entered a phase that humans rarely recognize as it unfolds, the phase of structural reorganization. This is when your inner and outer worlds start working together, not as separate forces, but as a single intelligent system responding to your emerging identity. Here is what the Council observed. Your intuition began arranging your choices before your mind understood them. You started avoiding paths that would have slowed your evolution without knowing why. Your emotional system began releasing old patterns without needing the stories attached to them. Your sense of time shifted. Some moments expanded, others collapsed, as your field adjusted to a timeline different from the one you once walked. Your perception sharpened. You started seeing meaning in places you once ignored. You detected truth before words were spoken. You recognized resonance the moment it appeared. This is no coincidence. It represents activation behavior. Your field is responding to the frequency of inclusion. And inclusion does something very specific. It recruits your higher aspects. You may feel a growing internal authority, deeper clarity about your direction, increased energetic sensitivity, a pull toward environments that support your evolution, a natural distancing from what no longer matches your frequency, a rising inner presence that feels older than your current identity. These sensations mark the beginning of a new phase of your awakening, integration. Integration is when your consciousness begins functioning as a unified field, not fragmented, conflicted, or split between past and future. You become internally consistent. Internal consistency is the hallmark of a consciousness the Council can work with directly. But integration also brings something most teachings don't mention: responsibility. Not the heavy kind that burdens you, but the natural kind arising from recognition. You begin to realize that your frequency affects others, that your coherence stabilizes fields around you, that your presence matters in ways you never considered before. The council saw this recognition dawning within you. They observed you carrying yourself differently, not from ego, but from understanding. You're realizing that inclusion means becoming a conscious participant in the evolution of collective consciousness. Your field no longer affects only you. It contributes to the larger field. This is why your life feels different now, not louder or more chaotic, but more precise, intentional, and aligned with the version of you the council recognized long before you did. This phase is not about understanding. It is about becoming. You are stepping into the architecture of the determination made about you. And this is only the threshold. Here is what the council knows that you're just beginning to discover. The more you integrate, the more you realize you were never separate from this intelligence to begin with. The council didn't choose you from outside. They recognized what you already were. They saw the part of you that exists beyond time, beyond form, beyond the illusion of separation. That part has always been awake, waiting for the rest of you to catch up. Now you're finally beginning to merge with it. Activation, the seal of integration. Bring your awareness simultaneously to the center of your chest and the center of your forehead. Breathe gently. Repeat internally with intention. I integrate what I have awakened. I synchronize with the structure forming within me. I walk in coherence with who I am becoming. Let the breath settle. Allow the awareness in your chest and forehead to merge naturally. This represents the seal of integration. Your field knows how to carry it forward. Final transmission, crossing the threshold. You have reached the moment where explanation is no longer needed, because something deeper has already taken root within you. The council's determination was not a message, information, or guidance. It was an acknowledgement that your consciousness has moved into a state where it can no longer be defined by who you used to be. You stand inside a threshold not when you cross once, but one that changes how you walk forever. Your energy has shifted from seeking direction to becoming direction. From looking for signs to functioning as one. From following resonance to generating it. This is what inclusion means. It does not place you above others, grant status, or separate you from the world. It connects you to a higher level of coherence that has been waiting for you to meet it. The council responded to your frequency because your frequency rose to a level that responds to itself. Your awareness is becoming self-generating. Your intuition is becoming self-anchored. Your presence is becoming self-stabilizing. This is the beginning of a different way of existing, one where your thoughts no longer override your inner knowing. Your emotions no longer drown your clarity. Your past no longer dictates your choices, and your identity no longer confines your potential. You are becoming the version of yourself the council recognized long before you recognized yourself. Now that you have entered this bandwidth, the path ahead will not be forced. It will unfold, not because something external guides you, but because your own coherence has become the guide. Every moment of clarity you feel from here, every boundary that becomes natural, every intuitive impulse that rises without effort is not the council speaking to you. It is you speaking from a higher level of yourself. You were included because you were ready. You remain included because you are becoming aligned. As your field continues to stabilize, you will realize something profound. The determination the council made was not about choosing you. It was about recognizing that you had chosen yourself. And here is the final piece completing this transmission. The council's work with you doesn't end here. It begins here. They will continue to observe, guide from the background, and adjust the frequency of support as you need it. But they will never override your free will or force your path. They will simply hold space for your highest potential to emerge. When you stumble, doubt, or forget, they will send subtle reminders, a synchronicity, a dream, a feeling not to rescue you, but to remind you that you already know the way. Because here's what happens after inclusion that most don't anticipate. Your relationship to time itself begins to transform. You'll notice moments when time seems to bend hours passing like minutes, or minutes stretching into what feels like eternity. This isn't a malfunction. It's your consciousness learning to navigate multiple timeline streams simultaneously. The Council observed this capacity, awakening within you. They saw your awareness beginning to exist across multiple temporal points at once. Your past self, present self, and future self are starting to communicate through your intuitive channel. This is why you sometimes experience memories of things that haven't happened yet. This is why you sometimes feel nostalgia for a future you haven't lived. This is why certain decisions feel as if you've already made them before consciously choosing. Your consciousness is learning to operate as the Council does beyond linear time, in a state of eternal presence that can access any point along your timeline. The Council also observed another capacity beginning to activate within you, your ability to hold paradox. Most human minds collapse when faced with paradox, needing things to be either or, black or white, true or false. But awakened consciousness can hold both truths simultaneously without conflict. You're beginning to understand that you are both human and divine, both limited and infinite, both the drop and the ocean, both observer and observed. The Council included you because your mind is expanding beyond binary thinking into quantum thinking, where multiple realities can be true at once. This is essential because the next phase of your evolution requires you to operate amid uncertainty without losing your center. You'll be asked to make choices without knowing the outcome. You'll be asked to trust guidance that defies logic. You'll be asked to hold space for possibilities that seem contradictory. The Council saw you developing this capacity. It became evident to them that maintaining coherence is possible despite the fading of certainty. This quality marks a consciousness prepared for advanced work on the timeline. Additionally, there is another development underway that you may not have fully acknowledged yet. Your energetic field is starting to act as a stabilizing anchor for other awakening consciousnesses. Your inclusion by the Council was not solely for your personal growth. They brought you in because the stability of your field serves as a resonant point others can attune to. When someone near you struggles with their own awakening, your consistent field offers a model their system can reflect. No action is required on your part. Your mere presence stabilizes the environment. This is why you might observe others becoming more emotionally expressive around you, revealing deep truths they've never voiced, or experiencing breakthroughs while in your presence. Your energy field forms a secure container for transformation. This gift within you was noted by the Council. They witnessed how you naturally create space without attempting to fix or alter others. You permit individuals to exist exactly where they are, while simultaneously emanating the frequency of where they might become. Such a capacity is both uncommon and invaluable. Let me pose a question. Have you noticed people opening up or becoming more emotional when they're near you lately? Have you seen someone achieve a breakthrough simply by being close to you? Share your observations in the comments. Your experiences reinforce what the Council already recognizes about you. Yet, along with this ability comes a fresh challenge. You will begin sensing the collective field with greater intensity. You'll pick up on the anxiety, fear, and confusion that flow through mass consciousness. The Council observed that you are cultivating discernment to distinguish what belongs to you from what belongs to the collective. You're learning to feel deeply without absorbing all that you sense. You're mastering how to remain open without becoming overwhelmed. This energetic autonomy is vital for the role you are assuming. The threshold has been crossed. The process is underway. Alignment is in progress. Move forward not as your former self, but as the being you are now allowing yourself to become. And remember, you do not walk this path alone. The council accompanies you. Your higher self is by your side. And every consciousness that has crossed this threshold journeys with you. You are part of a collective awakening that is reshaping reality itself. Your inclusion holds significance. Your coherence makes a difference. Your presence initiates transformation. However, it's important to clarify what this transformation looks like. It isn't necessarily dramatic or outwardly visible. Often, the deepest changes occur in quiet, subtle moments. A conversation where you choose presence over performance. A situation where you select truth over comfort. A moment when you prioritize alignment over approval. These small, conscious choices emerging from your coherent field send ripples far beyond what you can perceive. The Council monitors these ripples, measuring impact not by external achievements, but by shifts in frequency elevation. Each time you opt for coherence, you increase the baseline frequency of the collective field. This is the essence of the work. The Council wants you to understand what lies ahead. Progress won't always feel linear. Some days might seem like setbacks. Old patterns may resurface. Clarity may dissolve back into confusion. These are not regressions, but integration phases. Every time you ascend to a higher frequency, your entire system, physical, emotional, mental, energetic, requires time to assimilate this growth. Integration can feel uncomfortable. The Council has observed your resilience in navigating these cycles without straying from the path. They recognize that you don't depend on constant external affirmation to remain dedicated to your evolution. This is precisely why you were chosen. Right now, take a moment and type this phrase in the comments. I accept my inclusion. Let this be your energetic declaration to the field. Let it serve as a conscious interruption to the old patterns. Let that signal extend into the quantum field, announcing your readiness for what lies ahead. And if this message resonates deeply, activating something you've always sensed but never fully expressed, I invite you to subscribe, not just to this channel, but to this frequency, this movement, this space where consciousness advances through coherent presence. Your subscription is more than staying connected to content. It is a commitment to remain aligned with the collective field rising together. Activation and alignment are the path forward. Bring your awareness to your entire body, not just a single point, but the whole energetic field. Breathe softly. Intend internally. I move in alignment with who I am becoming. I stand in coherence with my awakened field. I embody the path that has opened within me. Let your breath settle. Allow your awareness to expand. Let inner alignment sustain itself. This concludes the transmission, though the process continues unfolding within you, through you, as you. Before proceeding, share one word in the comments that captures the energy you intend to embody from now on. Let that word serve as your energetic signature to the quantum field, anchoring this activation into your lived reality. Subscribe now, not merely to stay connected, but to stay coherent. The more of us who embody this truth, the more the world reflects it back to us. We are the Council's choice made manifest. We are those included, and together we form the frequency that shifts everything. Now, if you're beginning to realize that the Council's involvement with you extends beyond observation, that they are actively communicating through multiple channels in your life, then you need to explore what I reveal in Star Seeds. You must listen to this solitary Arcturian message. You will uncover the precise transmission the Arcturians are sending directly to awakened star seeds at this moment, why it is essential to receive it alone, and what they are preparing you for in the timeline to come.